We have grown up with the realization from when we are children, we are taught in schools that water is a precious thing. We know this. So in understanding how we manage our water, from our homes to our cities to our nations to as a global community, is going to be a fundamental global challenge. We accept this. We also accept the vagaries of nature. The vagaries of nature suggest that at some point of time there's heavy rain and flooding. In some parts of the country as we speak, there are heavy rains. But we have a natural pattern of events. We have a natural pattern of the seasons. We have a very impressive meteorological department. And amid the science as well as the pragmatic guesswork, we have to now figure out what is it that we have to do in a very practical sense. So the horrifying scenario, and summer, ladies and gentlemen, in India has not even set in. We're in March. That this horrifying scenario which is being played out in a crucially important city that's truly become the Silicon Valley, the face of India, that is going to be pivotal in the leapfrogging of India and technology and R&D and all sorts of things. Bengaluru is increasingly becoming unlivable. Remember, Bengaluru is known to be the city of lakes. Literally, there are lakes, freshwater lakes all over the city, or ones that existed that you could call freshwater lakes. So now we have this ironical, heartbreaking situation that we spend a few months a year decrying massive flooding in Bengaluru. Now we are having to face a water crisis where, other than impose all sorts of penalties and fines on home usage of water, on whether you can wash your car or water your plants or not, there seems to be no answer. There seems to be a missing link. So I've begun with the caveat: we all need to, must do, and I'm hoping understand that we have a role to play in water conservation, to know when things are tough, to not waste water. We also understand the vagaries of the weather systems. But what about the stuff that we can actually sort out? So either we are discussing unbelievable traffic in Bengaluru where you are just jammed. I can tell you from personal accounts, traveling from the airport into Bengaluru is a multi-hour process at times, especially if you're going at a particular peak traffic time. These things are affecting ease of living and the quality of life. And I know elections are coming, okay, and I know this will become an election issue, but we have to put that aside. We have to get this done. Now, I can't remember how many countless telecasts that we have done in fixing the problems in Bengaluru from all the eminent people who live in Bengaluru. How many times I've spoken with Mohandas Pai here. And he said that whenever we go to government, they all agree, but the truth is nobody does anything. The truth is nobody's taking ownership of fixing the problem. Now, the minister in charge in the Karnataka cabinet, D.K. Shivkumar, is one of the best in the Congress. He is right now the best manager, I mean, the most calibrated voice. So the competence level is there. The competence level exists for sure in the BJP as well. It should exist at the level of the municipality. But what have we reached? Now, I don't want to do a chest thumping, sort of ululating, woe is us, impotent rage kind of conversation that achieves nothing. We have to now figure this out. We have to get this sorted out. Imposing a 5,000 rupee fine here and there is not even a band-aid fix. Dr. PSV Rao joining us. He's of course a surgeon and lives in Bengaluru. Vivek Menon is joining us. He's an urban planner. Sandeep Anirudh is joining us. He's the convener of the Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the telecast. Dr. Rao, let me begin with you. Just give our viewers, we've been holding these conversations often, but give our viewers a dipstick test. How bad is it? Is it an overblown thing? Is it just being over-reported that actually water is fine, there's no scarcity, and we are blowing it up, or is it actually a problem for people living there?
Good afternoon to you and panelists and all viewers. See, it is a serious problem for certain parts of Bangalore. It may not be in certain parts of Bangalore and to certain people, but it is a very serious problem. And the most serious part is the southeastern part of Bangalore, which is the more low-lying area. And this is the part which invariably has the flooding problem also.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this city of gardens and lakes, it was when I shifted to Bangalore from Delhi in 1988. And why has it now become a city of floods and drought? It is because there was so much demand. Bangalore became so popular. Do remember that once upon a time the capital was Mysore, not Bangalore. But Bangalore has now become a global city. It is so popular, so many people from around the world wanting to shift to Bangalore, that the real estate mafia has just gone wild. They are not following any rules or regulation. You have a town planner in Vivek Menon. I am sure he will agree with me that the builders have become such a strong lobby. Some people call them a mafia. They just don't care. And so what they have been doing is, one, they have been breaking down old houses and building multi-storied buildings there, causing severe congestion in an old narrow road, and increasing the demand for water and creating more solid waste and sewage. Second, all empty sites are bought off, and if that area the town planning rule is for 3 floors, they will build 7 floors, 8 floors. And worse, in all these low-lying areas, which were either lakes or flood plains. Flood plain means they will be underwater during monsoon and not after monsoon. Now, all those are filled up with building waste, construction waste, solid waste, and multi-storied buildings put. And many of these, there are 2 groups of these classified by the municipality. One are totally illegal construction, where there is government land or some land has been usurped, and there is no plan, sanctioned plan, and they are building. And another lot where a sanctioned plan says only 2, 3 floors or 4 floors, and they are building whatever they feel like and no setbacks. This is one problem, means all this concrete prevents water in the rainy season collecting in these lakes and percolating into the ground soil. And when the rains come, there is flooding because this is all blocked. Now, 2 unique things about Bangalore is that we get not one monsoon, we get both monsoons, southwest and northeast. And because we are at a 3,000 feet height, flooding was never a problem. There shouldn't be a problem at 3,000 feet. Come off it. All the water should drain off. Where was the water draining off? Into lakes. And these are the ones which have been now filled up. And the area which it is where the IT sector is, that is where most of this problem has been created.
Yes. So, but Dr. Rao, now I know the change has been happening rapidly.
Yes.
But we are here now discussing bad news on a monthly basis. Either the road capacity can't keep up, now the water capacity can't keep up. Ladies and gentlemen, of the 2,500 million litres per day that the Bengaluru area requires, as it is, there is a 50% supply shortage. We are now being told 50% of the borewells are now dry. So this is it's a crisis. Now in a crisis, the solution can't be it can be for a couple of days. It can't just be that, okay, don't wash your car, fair enough. Okay, don't water your plants. Okay, fair enough. But this is not a long-term solution. Now, the problem factors are going to be many. Mr. Menon, now, we sort of can agree on what the large problem factors are. Okay. What is the immediate thing that can be done, and what can we be expecting that human factors, which means our effort at government level, can do to actually fix these problems?
Yeah, so Rishabh, the problem here is not about the scarcity of water. I think it's a lack of management of water. If you look at it today, Bangalore relies completely on the Kaveri for its water source, other than, of course, some bit of, groundwater that they are able to tap into. And, the Kaveri is dying a slow death, believe it or not. It's probably on a ventilator already. And that's where the problem starts. So we are already starting with, deforestation. We're doing a lot of all of those damages to the Kaveri, which is currently supplying probably 60 to 80% of Bangalore's water. Now, coming back to Bangalore itself, and I think Dr. Rao just hit the nail on the head with all of the problems that we are having in terms of, obviously mismanagement, overbuilding, all of that. But at the same time, Bangalore was a city of 480 lakes. And today we have less than 80 lakes left. And even those 80 lakes today are completely contaminated with sewage. So what we have done is we have essentially taken this beautiful source of water that we have called rainwater and polluted it, which means we can't reuse it anymore. If you think about it, all of the different valleys that we have 5 valleys in Bangalore, everything from the Koramangala, Rishabhavati to Hebbal, right? If you look at the lake systems that we have and the lake systems that were engineered probably over 100, 150 years ago, Bangalore could have been very well sufficient in water. There was absolutely water securitization was something that could have been achieved had we maintained those lakes, had we made sure that we do not encroach upon those lakes, cover them up, and today, last of all, actually introduce sewage into all of these lakes. Now, believe it or not, our town planners back in the day were not stupid. They built all of these lakes on what we call as aquifer recharge zones. Now, where does our groundwater come from? Our groundwater comes from aquifers, and an aquifer is nothing but it's a layer of soft rock between 2 layers of hard rock, right? Now, for that aquifer to be recharged, you need to have some kind of an opening at the ground level, and that was what we called a lake.
Okay, so
right?
Mr. Menon, forgive me, sir, but my question presages this. Mm-hmm. We know the problem, right? We know the problem is you put concrete everywhere. Okay, we know the problem that the floodplains are finished, that the water, you can't take out water from the lakes anymore because the lakes are polluted. Okay,
correct.
We know that there are environmental changes going on. We know that the population pressure is very high. This is not something we've discovered yesterday or last week. The question is, who is going to sit down and who's going to have a short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan? What's the plan? Who's going to be able to figure this out, sir?
So at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the parastatals, right? So we have the Lake Development Authority, we have the Bangalore Development Authority, right? Now, of course, the state government being in Bangalore plays a major role in all of this. But the unfortunate part is today, none of them have taken the responsibility. In fact, there is a complete, there's an absolute paralysis in the entire governmental system, and the blame gets passed on from one to the other. Right. So if the Lake Development Authority were to actually enforce its mandate, it would have prevented the BWSSB from actually putting solid waste and sewage into the lakes. Right now, if the BDA, the Bangalore Development Authority, had played its role, it would have prevented this kind of mass construction, and it would have probably mitigated a lot of all of that.
Yeah, but so Mr. Menon, so we are now going to play pass in the parcel. Okay, all of these people are going to play pass in the parcel. Okay, but in the end, somebody's got to bell the cat and say, okay, the buck stops here. I am taking charge of this. Here is the plan for the next 1 month. I mean, we were in a situation 3 years ago, where we had to, move oxygen from all parts of the country. I'm sure we can move water, and not at the exorbitant rates that these water mafia, and we know a water mafia also operates. Sir, I live in Delhi. I know exactly what that means. So something has to be done, Anirudh ji. Now, my premise is I don't want to do the woe is me because we can beat our chests. Okay, then achieve what? We know the problem. The problem here is not rocket science. It's about intent and about getting it done. Okay, so for people watching the broadcast, I have been born, brought up, lived all my life in the national capital. I have to now very seriously consider that for 1.5 months in the winter, it is becoming an unlivable city. The national capital of the country, that is Bharat, is becoming unlivable for 10, 15, 20% of the year. It's a smoke chamber. Nobody, no politician at state, center, nobody will even acknowledge that it's a problem. We just seem to get past it. Okay, so the national capital, unlivable because of air. Bengaluru, the most iconic place that is known all across the world. Either you are stuck in traffic, or you are stuck in floods, or now you don't have water in the morning. Who is going to bell the cat? Who do we call? That listen, it's your problem, you have to solve it, sit with us and solve it.
Vinith, I think you have hit the nail on its head. Somebody has to take action. And I can tell you who can actually take action. The problem is fairly well defined. We have a crumbling city which has exceeded its limits because of lack of planning. You have illegal construction, illegal layouts. 90% of buildings that are being constructed now are actually illegal. They should not be there. And water use is also being consumed by the construction industry when people don't have water to drink. So it is a social injustice. And then you have the entire wetland ecosystem that has been destroyed. About 90% of our lakes and wetlands have been destroyed because of, again, illegalities. Why is all this happening? Because we have a lazy government. I think for the last 6 decades, we've had misgovernance, which means there has been no policy, there has been no planning, and there has been no governance. This is the main reason. No government department or parastatal is actually doing anything. They're just sitting on their bottoms and they're basically making money. There is a huge amount of corruption, so they let all this pass. If the government is serious today, the first thing it has to do is, just like in the COVID emergency, see, we don't have resources. We don't have resources to meet this calamity we are facing now. So it's clearly an emergency. So we have to take emergency measures. And one easy path that was demonstrated during the COVID emergency was a lockdown, as in I'm not saying a total public lockdown, but an essential part of that was work from home and online classes for students. These two worked very well during the COVID emergency. These can be replicated easily. What will be the outcome of that is people can work from their homes or from their hometowns. People can go back to their hometowns. This will put less pressure on the city. And it has worked very well for more than a year. So this can be done once again. It won't affect anyone. Industries will be fine. In fact, officers are suffering now because they don't have water. Schools and colleges don't have water. In fact, schools and colleges have already started asking students to attend classes online.
Yeah.
So that's the right direction to go in because we have to reduce. Right now, the gap between supply and demand is so huge, the government cannot do anything within its abilities to bridge this gap.
What's going to happen is that everybody, just like in Delhi, they're going to wait a month, okay, elections or no election, because we know everywhere where the politicians are busy right now, okay. They're not interested in fixing water. They're interested in who's getting which ticket, okay, who's joining which party. That's where the time is, energy is being spent right now. Let's not kid ourselves, okay. So the people of Bengaluru, you are being told that after 1 month, we're hoping you forget about it, okay, and then we'll deal with it. It's next year me's problem, okay,
no,
and we're going to do nothing about it.
We'll be forgetting within a month. This will go on for the next 4-5 months, and probably it will only get worse.
No, and it's going to get worse, and we'll be back having the same conversation, and it's an unhappy conversation to mark our words, right? That you and I sit down again next year and the year after that.
Be done and I'm giving you one.
Yeah, so it's a drastic solution, but desperate times. Yeah. What are the desperate times calling us for? And we have to have that.
These are the desperate measures you have to take. One, work from home is certainly an option. Second
Desperation. Yeah. Shalini ji joining us on the telecast. Shalini ji, what do? We know the problem. Okay, it's a systemic problem. It's an environmental problem. What do? Who is going to take action? Who do we point the finger at? Because the government will say municipality will say no, it's the Lakes Authority will say no, it's the builders will say no, it's the government. In this buck pass in the parcel children event which we are doing, who is going to take accountability and do something?
See, we as a public have to take certain measures where we have to involve. It's high time we know that we cannot depend upon any of the politicians or leaders, where the social leaders have to take responsibility, where people are made aware of the water scarcity and what should be done at the local level, like in the houses or in the little communities or areas.
Okay. I don't know if ma'am can hear us. Yes. If can you hear us, ma'am, go ahead. I think your network is poor. Go ahead.
Yeah. You cannot hear me? I'm not audible?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is like, making the awareness, like we made the COVID awareness during COVID, water scarcity awareness to every single person is a must now. Now we know in the drastic or remote areas or different parts of the world, we have water scarcity where water is very scarce and people are really facing problems. We are in cities now, we didn't have that problem in Bangalore where we could easily book for a water tank and we could get the water supply when we call within few minutes. But now water supply tankers are not lifting up the phone. They are not answering. Even if they are charging exorbitantly high. And that is,
but that's come on. We also know that that's a mafia and that it works. I'm telling you, I've lived in Delhi. I know exactly how the water supply mafia works here as well.
Yes.
You can artificially cap the prices, but if you're going thirsty, you will pay. Okay, you'll pay what it takes to give your children water. There's no running away from it.
Every lame person cannot afford to pay, right?
Yes, so then the people are going thirsty.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a reality check. Now, ma'am, I began this telecast, perhaps you were not with us at that point of time, by saying that we also have to take personal accountability. But if all we do is take personal accountability and we let the people who earn salaries out of our money, okay, get away with it, then what's going to happen? Then you're basically saying personal accountability is what? Either I leave the city, okay, or I guard my own bore well. When that runs dry, what will I do? I mean, at some point of time, I can't be telling the people of the city that for 2 months a year you'll be flooded, and for 2 months of the year you'll have no water to drink. You're in a water everywhere kind of situation. Dr. Rao wants to make an interjection. Dr. Rao, go ahead.
Yes, I will give the solutions as those what individuals can do, what institutions can do, and what the government can do. And in each of it, what can be done immediately and what is to be done on the long term. Now, as an individual, I built my house 27 years ago, but 10 years ago, I built a huge rainwater harvesting system. It accumulates 35,000 liters, which is more than enough for 4 months for me, provided I am conservative, I use water conservatively. This is a lesson many people can learn. Yeah, even old houses and even and especially new constructions, this can be done. Second, so this will help on the long term the problem of both flooding and of drought. Second, water conservation itself. Third, don't waste water at the time being. You have emergency rules. Second, institutions. There should be an immediate ban on all construction in Bangalore, like you have when you have a pollution problem in Delhi, because these construction are not using recycled water. They are putting borewells, though borewell are banned now in Bangalore for the last 5 years. Only public borewells are permitted. So there should be a ban on all construction till the drought situation improves. Secondly, there are large campuses like the Indian Institute of Science, there is the GKVK, there is UAS, and of course the Lal Bagh and the airport itself. Now, some of these have made effort, but all of them should be made to ensure that every drop of rainwater which falls on these huge campuses
Dr. Rao, it's good you're saying it, but I am now seeing stone silence. What I would want is, it's a serious crisis.
Yes.
It's a capital city of a major state. Okay. I'm expecting that the people running the state, all of them would be gathering today at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock and saying, okay, here's what we are doing, here's the immediate plan, here's the funds we are mobilizing. All they've done is slap a 5,000 rupee fine and we are done. Okay, and the rest is left to God. Now, are you seeing some urgency in both the local administration or the state administration in actually solving the problem and taking accountability?
No, because they are, like you yourself said, they are too busy with the Lok Sabha election and all those matters. They are, except taking easy measures like ban this, ban that, do this, do that, they are not doing anything. In spite of the fact that the Chief Minister's house, the Deputy Chief Minister's house itself is having water problems.
Okay, so again, I began the telecast. The accountability is ours, but government can't say it's your fault. Okay, you guys are drinking too much, bathing too much. Okay, that can't be the answer from government. What you want is confidence that the government, both at the local, state, even at the national level, your members of parliament, your MLAs, they are all gathering together. Okay, they're all in a virtual teleconference tonight, and they've all gathered together and saying, this is what we are going to do. We are now mobilizing people. We are mobilizing volunteers. We are going to be mobilizing trucks from all over the country if need be, to make sure that water is available to people, so that they can just function their day-to-day lives. This is not crazy. This is not crazy talk. But you can't tell people, okay, fine, don't wash your car, but now you're telling people, don't wash your hands. Use a wet wipe. Okay.
What will we do in hospitals?
I mean, what a laughable thing. Mr. Menon, why is that urgency not coming? Why aren't we seeing political class, governmental class all coming together? Listen, guys, we know there's a problem. We can't fix it tomorrow, but we are all in it together. Let's come and fix this.
Right. See, there's a lack of a roadmap in terms of how they want to essentially grow the city. This city has grown really at a rapid pace, but at the same time, I don't think there's any of these governments actually has a plan in place to look at the traffic woes, to look at the problems with water, and to look at all of this. I think they're too busy playing politics, and unfortunately, we have had changes in government constantly, and so it's they pass the buck and kick the can down the road. Now, I think they need to really have a roadmap. I know that DK Shivkumar obviously is he's a man of action, and I just hope that today he's able to come to the front and say we don't maybe not have an immediate solution, but we're working on a solution that over a period in time we had floods last year. Everybody was talking about all the massive flooding right now, and the same token today we're talking about a drought. So obviously it's a mismanagement at the same time, and only if we had a roadmap, and if we there are enough of experts in the city today. Many of us have studied the ecology, have studied the geomorphology, we know what's happening, and we are providing inputs to the government, but there's absolute inaction at that level. There's nobody. They probably might give you a hearing, they'll hear you out, but then since the problem is not imminent, and it's not probably a point where people are revolting and probably showing up in front of Vidhan Saudha and actually sitting there and barricading things, much like the farmers are trying to do today, nobody's going to lift
Mr.
the
Menon,
finger.
what do we do as people? Because just 2 months ago, I've been sitting in this chair, okay, and dealing with the situation in Delhi. You have a satellite photograph, okay, right? And from a third party, from a foreign company, okay, Google Maps, that is telling you that North India is on fire. Here's the smoke that's coming from these multi-thousand fires that are heat mapped, okay, and there is absolute sannata. Nobody in the political class wants to even discuss it. Nobody wants to do anything. Absolute sannata. I've been calling it the smoke show because that's exactly what it was. Okay? Absolute sannata. Now, we are seeing absolute sannata. So what's going on? As a citizen, who do I go to?
As a citizen, the unfortunate part is you're at the mercy of this government. You're at the mercy of these parastatals, and they just turn a deaf ear, and there's collective irresponsibility. That's what I call it, because there's absolutely nobody who even wants to take on the challenge. There are IAS officers who are sitting there. They play musical chairs, move from one department to the other. They do not have continuity, which means nobody really wants to bell the cat. They just don't want to take on the responsibility. And today, Bangalore, believe it or not, has enough of water. I always say this, there's never a scarcity of water. It is a problem of mismanagement. And if we only put together a roadmap, when we created Tender Show for roads, we made sure that we had a set of specifications that could be formed, a white paper that basically created a roadmap.
Just come and, for gosh sake, just come and take accountability. It's not an easy thing. Then you'll say, oh, then we have Kaveri dispute with Tamil Nadu. We have so many things going on. They won't let us build a dam, this dam. So we know that there are lots of arguments. We know that water is going to be a crucial fight. But Anirudh ji, when we mention paralysis, nobody wants to take accountability. Nobody wants to deal with the muck of it. They're all either ostriches with their heads in the sand or just hoping that it goes away. As long as it's not my problem and I'm not held accountable, we can manage. Whether it's a ruling class or a government class, what do the citizens do? Because I know that when it comes to you having to pay your taxes, your property tax, okay, you first pay income tax, then you pay rent, then every fee you have to pay for a water connection, this, that money we still paying. So what do citizens do to demand accountability?
Rishabh, I think the first thing citizens can actually do is revolt by not paying their especially BWSSB dues, because BWSSB bills you whether they give you water or not. In fact, they have a racket going on where if they don't supply you any water for even 1 year, every month they have to bill a minimum amount to show that, just to prevent showing that they have not supplied water. That's a huge racket that is carried out by a parastatal of the state. So I think people have to openly revolt against that. And if it is zero water, the bill should reflect zero water. This I don't know how many of you are aware that they carry out this racket.
I don't know. I don't have evidence of it, but I'll take your anecdotal
No,
word
there is
for
a
it.
minimum. There is a minimum. Anirudh is right.
There is a minimum, and they bill you regardless of whether they supply you water. They claim to be providing water. So this is a racket.
That
Now,
is
second
crazy.
thing you see, the problems we face today, and this is why I want to talk in terms of policy, because otherwise nobody talks. It is lack of policy, and it is violation of laws. And I'll tell you which laws have been violated to create this overcapacity in the city. I mean, it's not overcapacity, it's violation of the capacity of the city. The city has a capacity. We have to plan accordingly. We have to have a planned city. We have to have a master plan. Why we don't have all of this? Because we are violating the 74th Amendment. The 74th Amendment was passed in 1992. It's been 3 decades. In these 3 decades, we're supposed to have had a planning authority. And we don't have that planning authority.
No, but the question is, who cares? I remember discussing this with senior people from Bengaluru when the traffic jams happen, and they told me, listen, most of the politicians who become in charge of Bengaluru don't come from Bengaluru. Okay, they have political bases elsewhere, so they give two hoots about what happens to Bengaluru. Okay, they're just here as a coincidence. Shalini ji, at some point of time, someone is going to come out and have to say, yes, there is a crisis. We are putting aside all our political differences. We are putting aside our Lok Sabha party ticket distribution meetings for a couple of days. All of us, BJP, Congress, JDS, municipalities, center, authorities, are all going to have a meeting tonight, and we're going to come up with a plan tomorrow morning. I mean, if I had a crisis, you had a crisis, that's what you would be doing. Why is that not happening?
It's not happening because they want to have their particular privileges and prominences and creditability, saying, yes, we are great in this way. They want to give credit to their own selves, but not to the problems of the common people. If they are representing that particular area, particular city or particular state, they must be knowing what is happening in the state. Water crisis is not today. And today we are facing it. In the world, the whole world is facing, but in Bengaluru, we are facing it this year. The water crisis has come up in such a way that nobody is concerned, nobody expected it. It is going to be so serious. And now each one is saying it is not that we had not expected. Like our friend said, Venkatesh Rao said, he has rain harvested. Rain harvesting has been an awareness from ages. But who is implementing it so seriously? Any permission they are giving to build a new house or new area or new factory or anything, are they making it sure that their rain harvesting is properly done? Some amount of money is given and they just close that. They just say yes, but practically it is not happening.
No, ma'am, but somebody is going to have, somebody or a group of people, okay, are going to have to sit down and take accountability that the buck stops here. Now, the solution is not like the chief minister will press a button and tomorrow will start raining. Okay, we had this bizarre thing going on in Delhi, ma'am, and I can relate just a couple of months ago. That don't worry, we have IIT Mumbai, and IIT Mumbai has developed a machine that's going to make it rain, and that rain is going to clear the air. If there is a machine that makes it rain, why aren't the droughts all over the world cured? We're just talking, I mean, I'm sorry to say, let's call pseudoscience. And just because you put an IIT tag to it, doesn't mean there's a magic button you can press and it's going to become rain, okay? So, we don't need a puja part, we don't need magic button solutions. What we should reasonably accept is leadership. Leadership for the past few days has been missing. I've been waiting for an opportunity for the members of parliament, the MLAs, all of them to come together and say, listen, we are putting aside all our party activities, all our political activities for 1 week. All right? There will be no political party activities for 1 week. All of us are going to sit down. If we need to ship in water, because I can tell you don't wash your car, fair enough. But I can't tell you don't wash your hands. Don't drink the water. This is not ease of living, okay? And we are in an era where we talk about ease of living. You are either stuck in traffic, can't go to work, or you are flooded, or you can't drink water. It's a horrible situation. We'll keep coming back to this. But right now, the need of the hour, the present minute is we take leadership and accountability and there's coming up together to solve the problem. Let's at least take that much. Thank you, all of you, for joining us on this telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.